Hi, everyone. We're just going to give it another minute. I see some people starting to join our Zoom info session here. So we will get started in just a minute. Thank you. All right, so my name is Sarah Johansson, and thank you all for joining me and my colleagues here today for our online information session about our graduate certificate in executive coaching program that we have here at William James College. I work in the marketing department, and I will be your host today. I'll talk a little bit about William James in general, go over a few housekeeping things, and then we can turn things over to our presenters. So if we go to the next slide here, with me today, we have Suzanne Boulos, who is the director of the executive coaching program. So she will talk, a little bit about the program, be able to answer any questions that you have. And we also have with us Julia Ogden, who is an admissions counselor here and the representative for the executive coaching program. So towards the end of the presentation today, Julia will talk a little bit about the admissions side, and can answer any questions you have there. So we can go to the next slide. And as I mentioned, I just want to share a little bit about William James College in general. You can see our campus building on this slide here. We are located in Newton, Massachusetts. So on the map there, you can see, not too far off from the highway. It makes it easy to get to campus for our students when they need to come to campus. So whether that is to attend an event on campus, if you have residency dates, even to meet with a faculty member or use our library. So if you're from the area or, living in Boston or New England, you can definitely easily get to campus when you need to, whether or not it's for your class or not. But I always like to emphasize on this slide that being in Newton and being, just outside of Boston puts us in a great location to have a lot of connections and a lot of opportunities for our students with some organizations and businesses, even school districts in the area. So, for our programs that have that experiential education component, internships or those sorts of things, we have a lot of amazing opportunities for our students there. We even have, an active Dean of Students office that does a lot of work in the community. We have a number of centers at our college. So we're really active in the Boston, Greater Boston, and New England area. So we can go to the next slide here. And I just like to talk a little bit about all of the different departments and programs that we have here at William James College. So you can see in the middle of the slide there, the Graduate Certificate in Executive Coaching program lives in our Organizational and Leadership department. And you can see on this slide, we also have a clinical department, counseling, a school department that all offer a variety of different graduate level certificate or degree programs. And then the bottom there, you can see we also have a bachelor's completion program, which we're also really proud of. But the thing I like to emphasize the most on this slide is if you read down this list, you can see every single one of our programs touches on psychology, leadership, behavioral health, counseling. These are the subjects that we are experts in, that our faculty are experts in. And it is 100% of what we do here at William James College. So that makes it a really unique place to pursue your education. No matter who you talk to, what faculty member, what program they're in, what student, students in your cohort, students in other programs, we all have the same passion and expertise for the field of psychology and leadership, behavioral health, as I mentioned. So that's a really, really cool thing about William James and what makes us really unique. All right, so if we move to the next slide, I just want to end by talking a little bit about our core values. So these are things that extend across all of the different programs and departments that you saw on the previous slide. So personal growth is really important for us. Obviously, if you're coming to a program or a graduate certificate like in executive coaching, we really want you to get that professional experience, get that classroom learning. But in addition to that, we emphasize personal growth as well. So we have mentorship opportunities. We have a lot of ways to connect with your cohort and with your faculty outside of the classroom. I already mentioned our Dean of Students office, but we have a lot of opportunities even beyond your program to connect with the William James community, a lot of events on campus, both in person and virtual. So there really are a lot of ways to connect and engage at William James, not just taking classes. Second, social responsibility. I already mentioned that being in the community and working in the community is something that's really important to us, but this extends across our courses and our students as well. So, everything that we do here, we have a priority to make a difference in our communities, meet the different needs that exist in psychology and behavioral health within organizations. I mentioned we have a lot of centers through William James. They do a lot of advocacy work. So this is something that you'll see, again, not only in your classes and in what you're learning, but also in all of the work that we do as a college. And lastly, experiential education. Again, something that I already alluded to a little bit, but this is a really priority for our students. We want you to get that hands-on learning experience, to actually put into practice what you're learning and really utilize those skills, in real life. So that is really important for our students, in addition to just, going to class, doing the readings, that sort of thing. We really prioritize hands-on learning as well. So, William James, we have a commitment to diversity, inclusion, social justice, and intercultural understanding. Again, this is something we prioritize across all of our programs. You will see these subjects in our curricula, in the work that we do, in the events that we host on campus. There really is a lot of opportunity for our community to come together to really educate, learn, and take action on these topics as well. All right, so I think we can go to the next slide here. And before I turn things over to Suzanne, I just want to emphasize that we're a live info session, of course. So at any time throughout the presentation, don't hesitate to submit any questions that you might have into the question box so that we'll have some opportunities to get those questions answered for you to make sure that you get all the information that you're looking for. All right, so if we go to the next slide, first, we will launch a poll just to see kind of what draws you to an executive coaching program, see who is in the audience. This will help, Suzanne and Julia both, orient their presentation towards what information might be most helpful to you. So if everyone could just take a moment and submit answers to the poll. Great. So adding skills to your current career, looking to make a transition to a new career. These are both things that we see very often for the executive coaching program. So thank you all for sharing that information. And I think if we go to the next slide, I will turn things over to Suzanne.
Thank you, Sarah. And hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for your interest in the graduate certificate in executive coaching here at William James College, and for spending some time with us today. So before we start, let me share a little bit about me. I'm the director of the coaching program. We call it GSEC, so much easier to say than, graduate certificate in executive coaching. And I'm also a member of the faculty. And like the rest of the faculty in our program, I'm a practicing executive coach. I have my own executive coaching practice where I work with clients to help them make change, develop new skills and behavior, and really to become more effective leaders. Executive coaches come from a variety of backgrounds, and we see that in the students who join our program. My background is in management consulting with over 25 years working with strategic planning firms and also independently for Fortune 500 companies, nonprofit organizations, entrepreneurs starting or developing their own business, and also new ventures in large corporations. I've worked in a wide variety of industries, several continents, and I'm particularly interested in culture and cross-cultural situations. But I'm also a graduate of the GSEC program. So some years ago, when coaching seemed to be taking an increasingly important role in my consulting practice, and I realized this was the direction I wanted to pursue, I did some research into coaching programs, something that I think some of you may be doing right now. And the reasons I chose William James College, it was then known as the Massachusetts School of Professional Psychology, are the same reasons I'm so proud to be leading this executive coaching program today. So if we go to the next slide, I can tell you a little bit about why we are unique in the New England area. So we offer the only accredited graduate school program in executive coaching in New England. If you think of coaching programs, they really fall into two categories. We are a coach education program, which includes theory and practice of coaching. And there are also programs that are offered by commercial providers that are more training programs around a particular model. So just to make the difference, we're a graduate level program that combines the theory and practice of coaching. Our program is academically rigorous, but also very practical. So we give our students ongoing coaching practice. We really put our students through the process of coaching from the moment they enter the program, even at orientation. They coach each other. They have informal coaching clients. And then another unique feature of our program that I'll tell you a little bit more about later is a 3.5 months fully supervised coaching practicum where they have a real client they work with in a regular executive coaching engagement. So our program is a blend of theory and practice. In some programs, students just get practice and learn coaching skills. In the GSEC program, we feel the theoretical framework is as important as the practical part. So students will learn about psychological frameworks and how to apply them to the coaching process. Those theoretical frameworks have been known and researched for years, and we help translate those into the actual practice of coaching. They'll also learn about the latest research in coaching. There's a lot of that is happening right now, and how that translates into coaching practice as well. I also want to say that we do not follow one model and say this is how you have to do it. We introduced our students to a variety of models, frameworks, and help them find the best approach for them, keeping in mind, of course, there are some basic things that every coach needs to follow. So our students really gain an exceptionally strong foundation and cutting edge knowledge. So I think the next slide, if I'm correct, will give us a little bit of the program overview, how it works. It's an 8-month program. It runs from the end of August to the end of April, 15 academic credits. It's ICF approved. That's in transition because ICF is in transition, so it will be called differently by the end of this year. It consists of 5 courses that build on each other. One of those courses is that practicum that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Our program follows a collaborative cohort training models where our students learn with and from each other and stay together throughout all the courses of the program. They start together, take the same courses, and end together. Our program delivery is what we call a blended learning model. We have required monthly weekends in residence, Saturday and Sunday all day, once a month for the 8 months. And in between those weekends in residence, our classroom is online. That it continues. So we have weekly modules, and those might include online lectures, assigned reading, videos, recordings, webinars, and then threaded discussion board. Those are primarily asynchronous. The part that is online is asynchronous. Occasionally, we might have one a live webinar. So our students are really fully engaged with each other and with the instructors throughout the program. That's very important to us, and we work very closely with our students. We believe the support is essential. Students establish close relationships with peers and faculty, and these relationships deepen. We see that as the program unfolds, and typically beyond the program. If we go to the next slide, I get asked the question, what's the difference between coaching and executive coaching, and what do executive coaches do? This is a good definition from the Executive Coaching Forum that you can have a look at, but really the things to pay attention to, it's an experiential, but it's also individualized leader development process. So to build the leader's capability to achieve short and long-term organizational goals. So the focus is both on the leader and the organization. It's conducted through one-on-one interaction. That's the leader and the coach, and it's driven by data. That's where the difference is between just a private coaching client and an executive coaching engagement. So that data comes from multiple perspectives. That's where assessments and 360 feedback and stakeholder feedback come in. And of course, it's based on mutual trust and respect. So the organization, the executive, and the executive coach work in partnership to achieve maximum impact. Executive coaches understand organization and use interpersonal skills to build trust and respect. That mutual trust and respect that is so important to a successful coaching relationship. So our students are, fully equipped, by then they leave the program to conduct such executive coaching engagements. So we can go to the next slide. Unless, Sarah, you have questions or you want to wait a little bit, I'm open to your guidance here. So
we do have a couple of questions. We have some people wondering a little bit about postgraduate career opportunities. I don't know if you have some slides talking about that. Someone is asking about testimonials, which I know you have some slides coming up.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to continue, and then we can
maybe we continue a little bit, and then we can talk about that towards the end of, because there is a section, there is a section on that. And if it's not enough, I'm happy to ask to answer questions around that as well, for sure. So the coaching, when you think about coaching, there's some basic coaching competencies, and that's where the ICF comes in, where there are some, coaching competencies that they look at, and that's how you get ICF certified. But we go much further, looking at the Executive Coaching Forum and what they think of important coaching competencies for an executive coach. So on the left, you see some of the basic ICF competencies that are grouped in 4 clusters. Let me give you an example. Like foundation might include meeting ethical guidelines, professional standards, establishing an agreement, co-creating the relationship. That's where, making sure that you have developed this rapport with the client. In our program, we work a lot on developing coaching presence. And so, coaches have to manage themselves when they are working one-on-one with a client. Communicating effectively, that's all the sort of conversation tools that coaches might use. And finally, cultivating learning and growth. It's, creating awareness, designing actions, planning, goal setting, and managing the process and the accountability. As you see on the right, we go further with learning about the psychology of individuals and group, practicing a variety of skills and techniques and frameworks, learning about organizations and how businesses work. We also pay attention to the personal attributes that a coach needs to have. And as coaches, we're constantly developing as well, right? Learning about ourselves and how to become better coaches all the time. So students learn about all these competencies throughout the program and practice them as well. So on the next slide might answer a little bit the question around career, but this is a little bit more general. It's definitely a growing career field where professionals with diverse background find new and exciting opportunity, whether as external coaches or coaches within organization. We're finding there's a lot more interest these days in coaching internally within organization. The workplace has changed, and leaders face a multitude of new challenges, and even more so after COVID and all of the issues that have arisen from that, and have to operate in turbulent environments. We sometimes refer to those as VUCA. So those are environments that are volatile. It's rapid, constant change, uncertain. The information is not clear. It's complex. There's many variables and unknown, and it's ambiguous. So leaders need new skills and behaviors to manage these new drivers, and executive coaches help leaders navigate and be successful in such environment. And you see on the next slide, executive coaching has evolved. Take a second to look at there's a quote on the next slide. Oh, question, sure.
All right. So we have a few people here asking about job opportunities post-grad, if you have some insight on how many of the graduates find jobs after completing the graduate certificate program, that sort of thing.
Okay, so executive coaching, right? You have to think about it in a couple of ways. It's to have an executive coaching practice is actually very much an entrepreneurial endeavor. It's your own business, right? It's like having being a therapist, being a counselor. So you're an executive coach. You have your own practice, and so you have to develop that, right? That's one way. So if you enter the program with that idea in mind, you'll start working on that during the program, and some of our students do that. But of course, as any entrepreneurial endeavor, it takes time. It takes time to build. And there's definitely, it's like consulting. There's definitely ups and downs in that. And you have to market. You have to do all the things that go with running a small business. Having said that, some of our students can also join organizations that are sort of coaching collaboratives where you are part of that. A lot of our students are also internal, where this will increase their skills in the jobs that they are doing, whether it's in HR or, we have sometimes we've had some leaders who want to be better leaders, doctors who want to be better doctors as they're running, their departments, and using these coaching skills and competencies to work better with either staff, employees, peers. So there's a variety of ways to use this. But it's not the kind of practice where there are a lot of jobs that are looking, you apply to become an executive coach in a company. You have to build that. You can join a group, and I'm seeing more and more organizations that would like somebody to be on board. So it's a little bit different that way. Think about it more as a practice that you build, or something that you add to what you're doing already today, and with the idea of slowly building your own practice. Also, a lot of executive coaches do different things. They're facilitators, they're consultants, they're HR consultants, and they also do executive coaching, leadership development, a variety of things. So I hope that answered that, but I'm happy to clarify more if anybody has more questions around that. So let me know.
Yeah, so another question here is asking if there's any sort of career services or, discussions and classes about these career opportunities throughout the program.
Sure. William James College has a career service office, so they can help you with resumes and things like that. But again, because of the nature of what coaching is like, it's not the same as wanting to work internally in an organization. But we do in our program, towards the end of our program, we spend a day on what we call Hang Your Shingle. And it's a whole day where we think about and help you think about what would your practice look like? What is it that you would offer? We look at the marketing piece, the backroom operations, the tax situation, all of these things. We also bring in some guests and to sort of start helping you to think, if you are going to start your practice, what would that look like? And some of our students have, had their website up by then and all of that, and, launched. We're there to help you, but you have to do your part as well. So it really depends what you want to do with it. We also have often coaches, established coaches, who come into the program and are looking to create sort of a framework around everything that they've been doing without a formal training. And so it helps them then know what to do when you're going to present yourself to an organization to be hired as an executive coach. That's the piece that we will prepare you for, to know how to talk about that, how to write a contract, what are the things to think about, what are the ethics, how do you deal with the manager, what are all these pieces that you need to know if you are going to be hired as for an executive coaching engagement. We definitely prepare you with all that, and you practice it in the practicum.
Great. And then we have a few questions here asking a little bit more about the alumni experience. So once you complete the program, are alumni still engaged with William James? Are there continuing education or other opportunities, other supports?
Our alumni are very engaged with us, especially if they want to be engaged with that. We keep them engaged with us. We're constantly in touch with our alums. It's a small community. People tend to know each other. I often, have lunch with an alum, pick up the phone, somebody calls, I have this, what do I do about this? We share opportunities with them when we do that. So we're definitely supportive of our alum. In terms of continuing education, we don't provide that because there is such richness in this area with the Institute of Coaching and other organizations that offer top-notch continuing education programs, but we let our students know about that and how to get this continuing education, because it's very important. Coaches continue to learn and the field is constantly evolving. And so we definitely encourage our students to stay up to date on everything that is going on.
All right, so I think we can move on to the next slide. And then, of course, to everyone who's joined us today, make sure you're continuing to ask your questions if you have any that come up during these next few slides.
Of course. So this is what our program is going to look like in the coming year. So these are the 5 courses, and I'm going to tell you a tiny bit more about each one of them as we move forward in the webinar. So you can see they follow one another. Everybody starts at the same time and ends at the same time. The program is designed very carefully by the faculty, and we all work together to make sure to see what belongs where and to build on the skills from each course. So our faculty are all practicing executive coaches. I think I mentioned that. They're seasoned teachers of adult learners. It's different if you're coming back to school. They're thought leaders. They have a variety of backgrounds. And we also have master coaches who are supervisors for our practicums. We look at the next slide. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about each course. So the first course, we start with theory and practice of executive coaching. Executive coaching comes from a variety of disciplines, right? Including psychology, systems theory, adult learning theories, cultural models, and we examine all those and how they relate to coaching. We also, in this course, look at the increasing importance of neuroscience research for the field of coaching, and we explore in depth something that becomes a theme in our program, throughout our program, is the use of self. We focus on self-development, self-awareness, and cultivating presence. We believe that for students to be able to help clients make change, they have to experience that themselves. We also look at coaching, beginning to look at coaching competencies, professional ethics, different models of executive coaching. And again, we do some basic practice in this first course. Then students move to the next course that's taught by Perry Carrison. Perry's been a trusted advisor to senior executive for a very long time. Some of his clients are, the World Bank, to Discovery Channel, to Takeda, to Marriott. He has this perceptive partnering that he does with each one of his clients. This is a very much a practice-oriented course that focuses on applying coaching skills to effectively develop leaders. We'll continue to focus on getting the expertise in the ICF coaching competencies, managing the coaching agenda, creating and maintaining relationships, communicating directly and effectively, and facilitating learning. So as students are exposed to a variety of coaching scenarios based on real coaching experience, they coach each other, continue with the work on the use of self and coaching presence. And the third course is something that's pretty unique to our program, and it's a coach on a course on assessments. So executive coaching, as I mentioned earlier, we relies a little bit on data at the beginning of the engagement. And Bill Hodgetts is our assessment specialist. Bill is now a full-time faculty member in the OLP department, Organization and Leadership Psychology department that Sarah mentioned earlier. And he recently retired from Fidelity Investments, where he was really vice president. He was really in charge of the whole coaching within the organization, enterprise-wise. He was vice president of enterprise coaching and shared services talent management. And he provided executive coaching, developmental assessments, and other learning resources to senior executive. Bill is also a thought leader. His latest paper is on the need for agility in coaching. So this course prepares students to plan, implement, or evaluate the results of an assessment for an executive coaching intervention. So it introduces students to a variety of methods that are commonly used to do that, to assess a leader and the system in which a leader operates. We also, in this course, start preparing students for methods of structured interviews. We look at standardized surveys, stakeholders, feedback instruments, and other organizational assessments. So it's really an introduction on how you use assessment in executive coaching. So once our students have done completed these three foundational courses, we have finished the fall semester, and they are really ready to move into their practicum. And the practicum, as you can see, is taught by Susan Ennis. Susan comes to us with 30 years of experience in executive development. She's a seasoned professional with expertise in executive coaching, leadership development, competency modeling. And she has her own consulting firm and has coached hundreds of executives. So she brings her deep expertise, her broad experience, and her practical focus, but also, because I'm going to tell you, the practicum, we work with social justice organizations. So Susan also brings that commitment she has to help organizations that do social justice in the greater Boston area. So the program culminates with this practicum where students work with a manager, executive, or leader who's seeking coaching for professional development. It's a supervised practical application of everything our students have learned. We provide a client for our students. We have a partnership with the Social Innovation Forum, which is a nonprofit organization that helps nonprofit leaders in the greater Boston area. And those nonprofits, are trying to implement solutions to critical social issues and creating positive change. We also have several relationships with other nonprofits that we can draw our clients from as well. So in addition to providing an opportunity for training for our students are really helping these leaders grow their impact in the community. Students conduct a full executive coaching engagement, a shortened, but it's a full engagement from the chemistry check phase when you meet your client, contracting step to, and then contracting to the final phase where they help their clients transition to long-term development. The students' work in the practicum is supervised by a master coach. Every students get assigned a master coach who is a very established executive coach in the Boston area, who mentors them through the engagement. That's in addition to going to the practicum class that will meet once a month, and the coursework that goes with that, where the instructors and also the peers will provide supervision as well. So as students leave the program, they're really fully equipped to conduct an executive coaching engagement. So if you're hired by HR or a leader, to coach a client in an organization, you have all the steps to do that. And finally, we have a little small course that runs concurrently with the practicum, and I teach that course. That is really designed to support our students in their professional development as executive coaches. So supplements first semester coursework, and provides a deeper exploration of topics from the first courses, but also topics that are relevant to coaching, and those can change from one year to another. For example, we have recently covered the importance of mindfulness, the different definitions of that, how to pay attention to that for us as coaches, but also for our clients, emotional agility, immunity to change, emotional intelligence, strength-based coaching. We bring in guest speakers, and this is also the course where we start talking about what are you going to do next? What is it that you will be doing? And that where we have that one day that we call Hang a Shingle Day. So really the objective here is to further our students' knowledge of the field of executive coaching, to deepen the coaching practice with even more tools, and to support the practicum work so that our students can use some of what they're learning in the seminars and apply it to the practicum. So I think you had asked about testimonials. I think we have a couple of nice testimonials. Oh, yeah. So Sarah, you want to do the poll?
Yes, of course. So similar to the poll we did at the beginning of the presentation, we have another poll here before Julia jumps on, just letting us know kind of what your timeline is, what you're thinking about for starting the program. Obviously, if you're not sure, perfectly okay. This is a great first step to exploring William James and exploring executive coaching. But again, if everyone could just take a moment and submit your answers here, that will just help us as we continue the info session today. All right, great. So a few people have selected fall 2023, which is great to see. We are still accepting applications, as I'm sure Julia will mention in a little bit. But as I mentioned, if you're not sure, no problem at all. We're happy that you were able to join us for the info session. So you can move on to the next slide, and I'll give it back to you, Suzanne.
Yeah, and I would add to that, if you're not sure and you're interested and you're curious and you want to have a conversation about that, about, talking more about your plans and understanding, this program is the right fit for you. We're very open to having a conversation, so please reach out. I'm always happy to chat with you. So this is a testimonial from Laura, who's a consultant in an organization that provides leadership development to organizations, actually a very big organization. And then I think we have another one. And Bethany was in HR. She's a director in HR. And, we stay in touch. In fact, I had an email from Laura last night. Okay, and then we can go to the next slide, which, who are our students? That's really a great question. They vary from year to year, but our students are, external consultants, they're HR professionals, they're psychologists, they're physicians, social workers, leaders in the education field, leaders who, so really, they're, what's important to say is they are professionals who are already established in their careers, and they bring a high level of expertise to the cohort and to the classroom. They take our program a little bit like some of the questions that you answered, either to add skills to enhance their current career, to make a career change, or to have options for the future. I often hear from people who enter the program, yes, I can practice a little bit of that at work now, but I can also see it as something to transition into a little bit later. So at this point, I am going to hand it over to Julia, I believe, but I want to thank you. This is you can show that slide again, the one from before. Yeah, so this is sort of us at graduation. Lots of fun celebrating with our alums, and this is a group of alum, and I'm in touch with a lot of them still. So somebody was asking that question. So thank you for your time, for your interest, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm Julia Ogden. I am the admissions counselor that works the most closely with the GSEC program, the executive coaching program. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about the admission side. So we'll have a chance for questions after this as well. So the application process is pretty simple. The only prerequisite that we have for the program is that you have a 4-year undergraduate degree. So you would be providing us with transcripts as part of your application, but you don't have to have a master's degree or anything else like that. Most of the people in the program have been, working out in the fields in various different, we have lots of people with different backgrounds, as Suzanne noted, but, most people have at least been working for 5 years. If you have less than that, you'd want to talk with us and just see what your work experience looks like. But, people coming to this program, have a lot of working experience out in the fields, in whatever field they happen to be in. There is an online application that you use to complete. You will upload an essay, and our essays are on, the essay prompts are on our website, so you can check those out even before you start an application. You would upload a resume or a CV, and we ask that you do 1 letter of recommendation. You can list up to 3 people as recommenders when you fill out the application, but we only need to receive 1 of those before, kind of moving your application along in the process. You put the contact information in for who's going to be recommending you, and then they get an email from us prompting them to fill out a form and upload a letter. And typically this is someone that has overseen you in your work, in your professional life, and can kind of speak to your skills and your abilities in your ability to do this program and your general skills, how you would be as an executive coach. Like I said before, we do need official transcripts. During the application process, we will accept unofficial ones if you have those on hand, but sometimes it's just easier just to send us the official ones because we would need those anyway in time for enrollment in the program. There's an interview as part of the process. Usually there's 2 interviews with different faculty members. So they can get to know you a little bit, and you can also ask questions if needed. This program, you do not need the GRE, so no need to complete that before submitting your application. The link to apply is down there at the bottom. It's on our website. We do have a general deadline coming up on July 12th. And then after that, we do rolling admissions until the program is full. So we do kind of a space available basis after July 12th. And just important to note too, there is a merit scholarship that all students are eligible for of $2,500. So that means you don't have to do a separate application for that scholarship. You're just automatically considered by the faculty when you apply. So you'd find out during your admissions letter when you were offered admission if you received that scholarship, which is really helpful. All right, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the admissions process. I'm sure Suzanne would be happy to answer any other questions just about the program.
All right, so the first question we have here is asking a little bit about the timeline for admission. So once you submit your application, when you expect to hear back, would you have to wait until after that general deadline before you'd hear, or is it kind of as they're submitted?
That's a good question. So this program is relatively small. You know, it's not very large, so we are able to give a lot of individual attention and kind of move through the process as quickly as we can. So once you have materials submitted, I pass it along to faculty. They review it and set up interviews. So it moves pretty quickly. You know, you could have an answer within, you know, a few weeks or a month, depending on just the bandwidth of faculty to move through that process. So it's not as if you'd have to wait until July 12th to hear back. We do kind of deal with those as needed.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. So if you submit everything, you actually submit your application with all the materials. What Julia does is she immediately sends it to the faculty, and we immediately contact you to schedule a couple of interviews. So, and those tend to happen pretty fast. And once those are done, we are able to turn it around and give you an answer very, very quickly. But it's important to actually submit, because we can't start that process without you having submitted the application and sending the materials.
All right, great. So it doesn't look like we have any other questions submitted. I know, Suzanne, you mentioned reaching out individually. So if we go to the next slide, I think that has the contact information. So if anyone, you know, didn't want to ask your question here on the info session, or if we sign off and you think of a question you should have asked, or would prefer to just have a one-on-one conversation, you can reach out to Suzanne directly. Her email is right there on the screen. Or if you email info@williamjames.edu, Julia will be able to get back to you or schedule a phone consultation if you'd like to talk in more depth about admissions. And you can also find us on any of those social media sites listed at the bottom of the screen. So that's a great way to get to know William James a little bit better, see, you know, kind of the work we're doing, student features, faculty features, that sort of thing. And of course, you can find a lot more information on our website at williamjames.edu. So thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Suzanne and Julia for presenting. We hope that this info session was helpful for you, and we're looking forward to hopefully receiving your application.
Thank you, everybody, and don't hesitate to reach out. My information is also on the website. Thank you, Julia and Sarah.
Thank you so much for coming. Bye.
Bye.